welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN FM, where each week is a wonderful exploration into the many facets of love, oneness, and our connection to the human spirit. I'm Lisa LaRose, and I'm joined by the most amazing co-host, Michael J. Rust. It's always such an honor to have you join me. You always spark so much inspiration. So I want to say welcome to you, Michael. How are you?
Thank you. I'm awesome today. It's been a really wonderful day for me, even though outside is kind of cloudy and rainy and a little bit cool. I'm good. I'm just enjoying watching it. And, the birds float around in the rain. And I've been sitting at my desk all day having some great conversations. And life is awesome. I really, really do think so. I told a friend of mine earlier this morning that for the last 4 months, I've just felt so elated every day. And it's because of one thing. It's because whenever I get I need to, I have to do, I should do, I want to do, in the moment that I'm in, I start thinking that way. I say, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be somewhere else. In this moment, I'm in the right place. And then I say that, and that mindset dissipates, and I get this little wave of happiness and joy about being in the present of where I am. It's really wonderful. All those other thoughts about things I should be doing or where I should be going or whatever, and it falls away. Fantastic. It's probably one of the best lines that I've heard. I wish it was mine, but it wasn't. I didn't make it up myself. But it is. I think my guides told me, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That was about 2 or 3 months ago, and I'm going, yeah, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I'm in traffic, and I missed the light, and I've got to wait for another light. Instead of getting upset, I say, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
All that angst goes away. Any anger I had about missing the light goes away. Just dissipates. It just makes all that thinking of needing to be somewhere else fall away, and I love it. I'm using it all the time.
It's beautiful.
Day.
I love it.
Yeah.
I truly love it, and I agree with you. I'm exactly where I need to be as well. The other day I was waiting for my passport. I had it coming in from Canada. It was coming from FedEx, and so I had to be there. And they said it was to be delivered during a certain window. Well, it didn't get delivered until about 3 hours later. But I got so many things done in that window, and I was just content. And I was so happy that I had that grounding time to attend to things that I may not have been able to do. I would have been rushing around, like as you said, just being happy that I was in that space. And last week, we spoke about the alchemy of curiosity and that spark of, I wonder what's possible. And of course, Michael is always sparking new curiosities in my world. And in the conversation we had after last week's show, Michael said to me, I'd really love to speak about gratitude in regards to curiosity. And I thought, isn't that interesting? I'd never put the two and two together. I've often wondered why curiosity can open the heart, but it doesn't always lead to abundance or deeper connection. So I thought maybe I needed to start asking better questions and expand my awareness that perhaps curiosity is the doorway that's always available to us, but it's gratitude that holds the key, that allows us to walk through it. And maybe it's the gratitude that we feel that transforms curiosity into generosity, that leads us to the abundance, the deeper connection, and the path that we're seeking. And I don't know, my thoughts always go different places, and it made me think about when I was a kid and boxes of cereal. It may not be the same in other parts of the world, but here in the United States and Canada, the manufacturers often put prizes in the boxes of kids' cereal. And so when we were kids, or if you had a box of Cracker Jacks, it was the same thing. But when we were kids, at the top of the box it says, open at the top. There's a prize inside. And you would theoretically open up the top, open up the thing and allow the cereal to come out. Or if you were like us, we'd slit open the bottom and we'd slide the thing out to see where the prize was. And
cheat. Cheat and get
because
the prize.
Our curiosity got the best
of
us. But it's that curiosity, that initial spark of I wonder what's inside, I wonder what's possible, that makes you reach into the box in the first place. And it's that belief. When we're kids, there's this knowing that there's something worth finding inside the ordinary packaging of life, whether it be a cereal box or something else. And so if we were extra curious, we would remove the bag and shake it so we could get to the prize quicker. And sometimes, although we try not to do it, we would reach our hands inside the box to hunt around for the prize, trying not to touch as much of the cereal as we can, but we always had a confidence that the prize would be there. It was already there. It's just your process of uncovering it. Or if you were good kids, you would let it fall out. And eventually, sometimes we did that. And as kids, we'd have to take our turns with each new box of cereal because there were 3 of us. But when it was our turn, we never doubted, no matter what way we approached trying to find the prize, that it would be there. It was going to be in that box already waiting for us. It was just all about the process of discovery. So when you mention gratitude in regards to generosity, that's what came to my mind. It went to kids' cereal and to Cracker Jack boxes, but it was more than that. It made me think about one of the teachings of Neville Goddard. He called it living in the wish fulfilled, that gratitude is the ultimate act of faith. It's all about thanking the universe for what's already yours in the unseen. And when we live from the idea of opening at the top, where we acknowledge that the generous universe meets our needs, but we find ourselves sort of stuck in the wondering phase where the flow or the prize hasn't quite reached our hands, the missing link that may bring it all together just might be gratitude. And if we allow ourselves to let go of the burden of expectation and allow things to flow, that's when that living wish is fulfilled. And I think that when we are curious, we sort of allow those things to come in, and we're really just simply grateful for whatever it is. As you said, just if you're delayed, you're grateful for the sunshine that's shining down on you while you're sitting at the traffic light. So I'd love to hear what you're sort of, after the conversation about the alchemy of curiosity, what was your aha moment that led you to want to speak about gratitude and generosity today?
No, yeah, thank you so much. That was a wonderful story, by the way, about the Cracker Jack box of the box. And you're right. Yeah, they did. They put that in there so that the manufacturers put it in there. So we say, Mommy, I want to get this and get that one because, it's got that thing in it. I want that thing, And although they love the cereal as well. Fantastic. Gratitude. I started thinking about it because, we're curious. We impart in a certain direction and do something based on our own curiosity. We delve into something. And when it turns out to be something really absolutely amazing for us, and everything is sort of, in my view, a stepping stone to where we're, to helping us remember who we are, I think gratitude is just, in my view, the next step. You express your gratitude for, in whatever way you choose, for having really received the wonder of whatever it was you were curious about. It's every experience we have, everything we're exposed to, we learn. We learn what we do and we don't want. We learn something that can help us. If it's something that's a challenge, we learn how we can move through it next time much more easily. We learn so many different things. And being grateful for having learned whatever it is we learned or experienced whatever we experienced, in my view, is the next real step, because it leads to further manifestation of great things. That's the way I see it. When you have the energy of gratitude circling around in your energy field, it attracts more things that you can express gratitude for. And that's one of the reasons why. So curiosity is just I think you said it, Wes, when you said curiosity is the spark. It is the spark. And to have it and be there, it's just an amazing way to live. So many people that I know and I come across live in a box. They do the same things every day. They live in the known, as Glenn Brooks used to say, in the known. They live in the known, and your curiosity takes you out of the known into the unknown, where discovery truly happens, where you can move through, and it's a process of discovery. So, being grateful, to me, that's the logical move after that, to keep the flow of wonderful things occurring in your life, the flow of things. Keep that. It's like an ecosystem, like a loop. You're curious. It's the spark. You go out. You seek. You learn. You're enlightened in some way. You learn something, and then you're grateful that you had that opportunity. Grateful you had that experience. Bring me more wonderful experiences like that, or bring me more opportunities to learn what I do and don't want in my life. And to me, it's as simple as that.
I think that's really, you're absolutely spot on, Michael. Absolutely spot on. And when you were speaking, I thought to myself, curiosity is sort of about meeting life with openness, like you do every day. And that when we have that gratitude, curiosity allows us to say, why is this showing up for me right now? And that gratitude is the grace that allows us to be in a space where we allow more of what we want to flow in our direction. It sort of creates like a spaciousness around us. And right now on the planet, there's a lot of crazy things going on. I shared with you the storms that were going on in Portugal, in the UK, and the snow in Russia. And I don't know where each one of you are located, but wherever you are, if you're experiencing hardship, our hearts and our prayers are certainly love going out to you, because it's not easy, and it's very difficult when you've been through hurricanes, when you're looking at something that is really, you don't know where to pick up the pieces. And it's hard to find that and say, how can I be grateful for this? How can I find the wisdom of why this unfolded? And we may never know. We may never understand.
Sure. Yeah.
But in the moment, we can take a moment to breathe, and perhaps it's about bringing community together and really joining hearts and creating an elevation of consciousness, because it's unfortunate that it's in the times of greatest challenges that people show up the most.
Agreed.
We had no snowplows, and people were shoveling out. We had these snow angels that came around, and they shoveled out people's walks that weren't able to do it or dig out their cars. And it was really about being supported in the moment. Yeah, and I think that gratitude is not denying of any of the circumstances that are unfolding that are around you. It's sort of a recognition where you're not pretending that everything's okay, you're not bypassing the pain, but you're acknowledging that there is something that is supporting you in the moment. And I think that when you do so, that curiosity, it opens that awareness. And when we drop into our heart and we feel that gratitude, even if it's for the fact that you're safe or your family is safe, the other stuff is just things. And you can allow that to sort of stabilize and wash over you and allow, as you said, whatever's yet meant to unfold to unfold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when Hurricane Michael came through here in 2018 and caused just damage beyond belief for many people, total destruction of their home, roofs being torn off, or just simply water getting into places that it wouldn't otherwise get into because ordinarily there's not, 100 plus, 150, 200 plus mile an hour driven water that comes at your house. So you really discover, how sealed your house really is. But the thing that came from that more than anything else when there was no power is how people come together. People came together. It just and we cleared driveways, we cleared streets, we cleared yards, we cleared doors, we cleared all kinds of things, and we did gas runs wherever we needed to go. We went. We had no cell service, so we found the place that did have cell service, how far away it was, and we offered to take people to make calls or literally just get their numbers and say and call their family to let them know that they were all right, that everything was good, and they'll get in touch with them when they have service. But just to know that they're fine. These things, when you live with these, I see cyclones or hurricanes, even tornadoes, as opportunities for new beginnings. And I know that what we do is we collect stuff. We buy boxes and we put tons of stuff in it, and a lot of that stuff has deep meaning. And I've learned to, if I know that if I have advanced warning that a hurricane is coming, I'll make sure that I have my most important documents and other things in a go bag or in a place where I can easily get to them. And a lot of people we're living in a world where things happen, like in Portugal, and they've never experienced anything like that before. Even in Sicily, where it hit as well, came across the continent, hit in Sicily. We reformulated. So you learn to do little things, and I find them to be opportunities for learning, opportunities for expansion, opportunities for new connections with people in a deeper way, because now you're helping someone in a way that you wouldn't have helped them before. And that's what we had here. And the guy that came through with a chainsaw, with a couple of guys with chainsaws, that was tremendous. A neighbor brings his backhoe from across the street with a grabber on it and tears the big fat limb that's hanging off the front of the we call them widowmakers because they're just hanging there. The branch is probably 8-9 inches thick. It's very heavy, and it can really hurt something or someone if it falls. If it completes its tear off of the tree and then takes it off the tree, right? The branch drops, and you got a chainsaw. You cut it up. You put it on the side. You're good. And we had 10-foot high piles of debris all the way down the street on both sides, where you couldn't see your neighbor's house. It was so high. And again, it wasn't so much that. That's just a thing. It's just a thing that happens. It's the coming together and doing gas runs, doing food runs, doing ice runs, that sort of thing. That's the kind of stuff that makes you feel good. It warms your heart when everybody comes together and does that. And it doesn't matter, you might not have ever talked to that neighbor, yet you come together and you get to know them in a way that you wouldn't otherwise. And that way that you now know them lasts forever. So that really is the beauty that comes, the flower that grows out of destruction is one that is absolutely pristinely beautiful. That's the way I prefer to see it. And, we get tornadoes down here, and they're not, we haven't really, this is not an area where tornadoes are prevalent, but they do happen. They come off the water spouts come on land. they develop and they rip and tear things up. And if you happen to be in that area where things get torn up, there is help for you, and people will come. And that's exactly what occurs in this life when we all as souls come together and help each other. It's a magical thing, very magical.
Right.
And
and I think you're right. I think so often, at least here in the United States, people, they get in their car in the morning and then they travel down to whatever route they need to get to work, and then they get out. They may make a few stops. They see the same people all the time, and they may not even know their neighbors anymore. I find it sort of sad. There was a time when I moved in my house, I knew everybody on my block. People have moved in and out, and a lot of people, I understand they have different paths, but if you have an opportunity to know a neighbor or help them out, it can make a world of difference. And I believe that we can make a family out of a community, and I love Michael Tellinger's vision of one small town where everybody works for the good of the community, and everybody shares in all of the beauty that evolves from it. And I love that you shared that there were strangers who offer their gifts and their talents, and you may not even know that your neighbor owned a backhoe or a chainsaw. And then you find some common ground, and you can offer things that they might not be able to. You're a talented cook. Maybe a thank you. You offer them a dinner. And because when you're in a situation like a hurricane or a cyclone or whatever the natural disaster is, food and supplies become scarce, and you never know what you can have to offer. And that's an opportunity not only to be grateful for what you have, but to share in the abundance and be generous and share what you can when you can, because it's not easy for anybody in a situation like that. But being able to open your heart and look into your neighbor's eyes and say, "Oh my gosh, you really need this. Oh, you know what? I have 2 of those. Please just take it. I don't need it back." It can really make all the difference for somebody.
Absolutely. So true. And I always think about when I go in a store and there's a buy one get one, right? You over here, I don't know where you are in the world, but over here they have in the USA and I think possibly Canada too. There's a special that occurs where you can buy, where you basically have the item that you're looking for and a second item you get for free if you buy that one. And when I see those things, I take advantage of the BOGO, because I think which one of my neighbors could possibly use this, right? You get green beans, 2 packets for whatever, $5 of organic green beans. And you're like, why am I going to get one and pay the half price and leave the other one? Get the other one too. And if I have too many, I'll share it with someone. Say, hey, I got some green beans for you. Here you go. I got some Meyer lemons for you. I got some this for you. I got some that for you. It's beautiful. It's a great way to live. I got to tell you something really interesting, because away from individuals, I know businesses that came together as well. Owners of companies. There's a gentleman who owns, I think he owned 5 restaurants, about where the cell service began, and he had some power issues. They had power issues down there as well. And the afternoon of the storm the hurricane only lasted about 2 hours. It was over, and all the destruction was pretty massive. It was fast moving. And when it was over, he called all his managers and said, get in here and empty the freezers, empty the refrigerators. Take your grill and whatever you've got, and put it in your vehicle and go to the far reaches in the city where people have been hit the hardest, and set up shop and cook food. And this is within 2 hours of the storm being open. They were out cooking food in the far reaches of the county where people have been hit hardest. And the word got around, that they had a hot meal. And we're not talking about anything. We're talking about, steak, lobster, shrimp. These restaurants were serving some pretty high-end food. And he said, look, One guy was set up shy by 6:00. The storm came through at 1:30. By 6:00, he was feeding first responders right out in their driveway in front of their station. And other times other guys went to every day it was something different. Go to this spot this time, go to that spot this time. And it's you don't expect that from business owners really, but there's a big heart down here. There's a big heart.
Mm-hmm.
And these people took care of people. People take care of people. And that's
right.
The one thing I love about living down here is that everybody's not on their own. Everybody is one. That's where the oneness concept really becomes reality, when there's a challenge in a community. And
mm-hmm.
It's wonderful to see and experience and be part of. Not that I want another hurricane to come through anytime soon. However, that was one of the major benefits of being here. And it doesn't
right.
matter where you are in the world. You can do that. You can do just that.
I think that sometimes when you have a situation such as you did, Michael, that although many of us feel like we're separate and alone, we have a beautiful opportunity to come together in oneness, in community. And that's really where generosity becomes visible. And in that space, it allows for us to be open to the flow of being fully present. And when we can be present and kind and open to listening to the hearts of others, we come together. And we have an opportunity to recognize that although each one of us has our own unique beliefs, biases, fears, whatever the differences are, when we come together in community, especially in a crisis, the things that have kept us separate, they really start to dissolve. Although I'm on a different political party than my neighbor and we don't agree on things, but guess what? That no longer matters. We have a common thread that weaves us together in a beautiful way, and it helps us sort of allow the resistance that we may have felt. Maybe we weren't as friendly to each other, but I just think that it sort of softens. And so if we see ourselves as one and we say, okay, I'm source expressing myself, I am an expression of source, and others are an expression of source, that's when that separation dissolves, the fear dissolves, and that's when the flow returns. And that is that flow of gratitude of all that is meant to be the vision of the way we all want to see the world. I think to myself, why sometimes does it take disaster to bring us together? I don't know. I'm not really sure what that is with humanity. And I'm hoping that as we evolve that really starts to change. And I think that for so many in this country, we are blessed with so much abundance. And as you know, I travel to Africa, you travel to Africa. Things that we take for granted that is in abundant supply, including fresh water, is not so much in so many different areas of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I know that there are so many grassroots organizations and some other individuals that are really creating change around the world, and it's beautiful to see. And I'm grateful for them. But I think that all of the practices and all the things that they've wanted to bring forth into these remote parts of the world has probably started out with curiosity. How can I make life better for these people? They may have visited a certain area and seen hardship and thought, wow, I didn't realize it was so hard to get running water here, or food supply, whatever it is. I think that is just sort of recognizing that when we're in that state of being curious, that there will be this beautiful thread that will weave itself into many different facets of our lives and into the lives of other people.
True, I agree. It's being grateful for what you have in the first place. And someone told me something very interesting. They said, it doesn't matter where you live. If you're living the way that you live, if you have to travel 5 miles a day for water, that is a normal part of your existence. It doesn't mean that you're unhappy. It just means that that's the norm. That's the reality. And what I what that does spark is the opportunity that exists to find out whether or not there is a way that water can be brought closer, whether a bore well will take care of it. You can raise some funds or go to a nonprofit or whatever and put a borehole, right? A borehole well and get water much more rapidly. Or there are many things that can be done, but curiosity in visiting other places can lead to gratitude yourself. I think that's what you're saying. It can lead to gratitude within you, and it can help you understand that what you've been complaining about, you're really taking for granted. When you have a victim consciousness about the little things in life, that there are places in the world where those things are luxuries to other people. They're literally luxuries. That's all it is. And when you see that, I've been to those places, so I'm incredibly grateful. And complaining is not on my radar, because just having the ability to go down to the store and have just unlimited amounts of food at your disposal is something that I am truly grateful for, because I've been to places where that's not the case. Where supermarkets just don't exist with that much food and that much variety of food. And so people who've been curious about what happens to the food when it gets older, have led to food being donated before it's gone bad.
Right.
Food that hasn't sold.
And even the ugly food movement, food that had been not considered saleable in this country would be discarded. And people saw a need and they said, you know what, that's usable food. And so now there's all kinds of ugly potato chips and ugly produce that's available. And I don't mind if my apples are a little misshapen. They don't have to be perfect, 100% red.
No.
I would prefer them to be organic and natural in the way they came off the tree, right?
Exactly, which is nature's imperfections galore, right? Nature's not supposed to be perfect. We were not supposed to. We are. My belief simply is that we're perfect as we are in every moment. So when I say I literally tell myself I'm perfect in this moment. I am. In this very moment, I am perfection. Tomorrow I'll experience a different perfection. In this moment, in this day, I'm perfect. And we have to stop beating ourselves up. We have to stop shaming ourselves and putting ourselves down and talking about ourselves as if we should be somewhere else, or hey, we should have something else, or we should be experiencing something else. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And when you put yourself there and you express your gratitude for what you are, for where you are and what you're doing, put yourself in that space of it's spectacular. Many wonderful things come from that mindset and that perception and that belief system. They do, because believe me or not, there's enough things out there to make you believe that you're not in the right place. And I think when you know it, that's all that counts.
I agree. You're exactly where you need to be when you need to be there. And that's why I so appreciate these conversations, because we had that conversation with Carol Collins a few weeks ago about friendly and being friendly to others and friendly to yourself. And that conversation is what sparked our conversation about curiosity. Yeah. I was grateful for that conversation because it got me thinking about so many different things. And then that awareness that created opened a lot of other doorways to me and things that I was sort of thinking about. And it's interesting, I've spoken to several people after the big snowfall here, which is nothing compared to other parts of the world and minor inconveniences we had. But so many people have said, you know what, I just want things to be simpler. Like, it gave them an awareness. They couldn't go out and they couldn't travel and do things. And a lot of people said it reminded them of COVID, where they were in their house and they had to rediscover things. And they said, I just really want things to be simpler. There's probably 10 people that have said that to me, and I thought, isn't that interesting? Because I sort of said the same thing. The other night I was sitting there after I was done shoveling, and I was looking around and all these beautiful things that I've collected and treasure hunted and whatnot, and I thought, I've enjoyed them. Maybe I'll start passing them on to other people so they can enjoy them, and I've got lots of wonderful books, and it's time to sort of go through and just simplify. But I'm grateful that I have the ability to do that, because when I was in Africa, actually I was in Zanzibar, and I went out to a spice farm, and there was a school on the spice farm, and the young man, it was his mother's school, and he showed me it, and I said, well, where are all the books? And he said, oh, well, we don't have money to buy books. And so when I got back, I asked my friends, I was like, I'd really like to get some books over there. And so many people donated children's books, and I had a lot of them, and then we just packed them up and shipped them over. And it was a simple, easy thing for me to do. And I think that those books are probably still hopefully providing entertainment for those kids and education and what they serve to do. True.
And they're sparking curiosity about, and their imagination about other things as well. It was interesting because my father always wanted to make sure that we were exposed to the world and the whole world, which meant that he never, as an Air Force officer, never took a duty station where the family couldn't go with him. That was the rule with he and my mother, is that we, if there's no going to a place where only he could go and he'd be away from the family and we'd be with it. And I know families, I've talked to Air Force families where they did not go, family didn't go because the father who got stationed somewhere, even though the family could have gone, he didn't want to pull the kids out of school, away from their friends. And I'm so grateful that my dad actually did that, because it made it a lot easier for me to make friends later in life. I can make friends anywhere now. It was a skill that was developed, and I'm grateful that he actually made that decision, because that had a lot to do with the development of myself, my brother, and my sister. There are decisions that get made that, I'm not here to judge them as being good or bad. I simply know that as much as I probably said, do we have to go, when it was time to go to Taiwan, it was like, yep, we're going. We're going to go over to this new place. Here it is. Let's take a look at it. Look at it on the map, and you don't know exactly what you're going to experience, but the journey of getting there was a wonderful opportunity, and it was an exploration. It was beautiful. Traveling on Pan Am Airways halfway across the world at a time when most people didn't even get on an airplane and go to another city. And it has helped me be incredibly grateful for, as in my later years here, the decisions that were made on my behalf and how we dealt with them and how much fun we made them. It was a conscious choice that turned out to be one of the best things. I was just talking to my brother and sister today, talking about how wonderful. My brother was commenting about how wonderful we turned out. And I can't not think that that had something to do with it. It really, really did. The average person in the United States doesn't travel any more than 75 miles from home, which means that the average person in the U.S. basically stays within their known area, their known region. And there is no curiosity to move beyond it, because as someone told me who did that, who had never left, why should I? I've got everything I need right here. And I'm going, well, that's probably fine for you. Nobody says you have to go anywhere. However, for those that do have curiosity, the world is your oyster. It's people you meet, experiences you have, and there's the opportunity for further discernment, for contrast, which to me is so incredibly important as an element of alchemy. Contrast. It's when you have the opportunity to be grateful versus not. That's contrast. When you're curious versus not being curious. When you're curious, you get contrast. Contrast helps you understand and connect with people who don't look like you, who don't live in an area like you, don't experience the same thing that you experience. And you get to share your world with them and them with you. And you sit down together and talk about what you have in common instead of what you don't. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing. And you can make lifetime friends out of people that you never would have thought that you would make friends. I just got an email today from a gentleman that was on the train with us in Africa. He lives in the UK. And such a wonderful opportunity to reconnect with him. Another couple is going to come and see us personally in April. They were on the train with us. And you make friends. And so you come from but you also find out what you have in common. That's the interesting thing. By being curious, you're going to find more opportunities to discover what you have in common with people. And that commonality breeds friendship and deeper connection. I love it.
Michael, when you were speaking, and I thought we moved a lot, but I never moved to a different country like you did, where the language was different, the characters, even to be able to read something is completely foreign. But I believe that helped you refine your palate, meaning that you, instead of just having white bread with peanut butter or jelly, which a lot of kids get for lunch, you were introduced to new flavors and foods and colors and textures and fabrics, and it opened up a whole wide variety of things. But even if you don't have an opportunity to travel to another country, you can still do that within the regions that you are. You can go to a park that you've never explored and be curious about the different flowers. I love to go mushroom hunting. And so when I was first learning, I would go out on these mushroom forays, and I only collected things that I knew there was no poisonous lookalikes for.
Good point. Good point.
But I learned a lot of what grows under different trees, and then it gave me a fresh set of eyes when I was walking through other parks. And let's just check here. And for lion's mane, you have to look way up in the trees. Oftentimes, that's where that grows. But it doesn't. I imagine when you were first moving to Taiwan, you were just had those eyes of wonder. Everything around you was fresh and exciting, and maybe you went to a playground and you didn't speak the language with the kids, but guess what? You could still kick a ball and interact. And I think that we can do that in any community. Am I right?
Yeah, except for the fact that the only playground was at the military elementary school, because it was so primitive from our perspective. There were no playgrounds openly in that particular town that we were in. However, the beautiful thing is that I had my introduction to firecrackers, Chinese firecrackers back then. And so all the kids in the neighborhood would get together and we, befriend each other. And we had 4th of July every day. It wasn't just for, firecrackers weren't just sold one time a year. And these are the kind that they outlawed eventually. Within 20 years in the United States, they were outlawed because not so good things were happening to people, and some young infants were eating, these things that we played with. Anyway, all I'm saying is that it was such a fun time, and you make friends, you develop connections, you have your curiosity will take you everywhere and anywhere you want to go, as far as you want to go. It's just it's the beauty of it. Somebody told me, when you go to a city, Paris, London, whatever, just get lost. Get lost. Your best experience is just getting lost. That's the plan. That's the plan. Don't plan it out so much that you don't actually interact with people When you get lost, you discover some of the most amazing places and have some of the most stellar experiences, miraculous experiences. And in culinarily speaking, you eat some of the most amazing food, and you're introduced to things that you wouldn't otherwise be introduced to if you were on, a tour somewhere. But just walk and start walking, and you discover in many places the most amazing things. And that's what we have a tendency to do. And you learn about various parts of town. You learn about the people you talk. You'll find people that you can communicate with. I've always learned the cordialities are the most important. You got to know how to say thank you. You got to learn how to say hello, morning, noon, and night. And I've learned to read body language and facial expressions of people. I don't need to speak their language for me to know what they're saying, what they're pointing me to, the tone of their voice. It's pretty interesting, and it's a lot of fun. I don't consider it to be a chore. I consider it to be a way of learning how to communicate with people. And even if I pick up every other word of what someone is saying, if they're speaking English to me and it's not that great, the fun thing about it is actually deducing what they said from the number of words that you were given. It's like, again, Glenn Brooks had it right. Drop yourself in the middle of some place that you're unfamiliar with and watch yourself expand as a human being, and because you're forced to make connections and speak with people and develop relationships and try new things. And it's not so bad. It really isn't so bad. It's not as bad as I know people I've told my experiences have said, oh gosh, I would never do that. I could never do that. Well, actually, you don't know what you are capable of until you
so true.
do it, right? we want to prognosticate and say I would hate that, but really, it's just because of the experience you have up to this point in time you think you would hate it. But once you experience that, then you have a new bar, right? That to be curious about, something else, a new bar to jump over to be curious about. So to get on the other side of. That's the beauty of it. Curiosity is, and then you sit down at the end of the evening and you go, I'm so grateful I did that. I'm so glad I did it. I just loved every minute of it. You talk about, these are the experiences that you talk about for the rest of your life. And as I told somebody the other day, it's not the stuff in the little box that you live in that you talk about for the rest of your life. It's the experiences that those things gave you. You walked into a store, you met somebody, you sat down, you had some tea, and they talk to you, you talk to them, you get to know them a little bit, and then they start showing you things, and they find out they ask you what your interest is, and before you know it, you're buying something based on a deep connection with someone. That's the way it works, at least in the Middle East when we were there. It's like somebody said, "Oh, some of the Americans that come in here, all they want to do is just buy something," and we want to get to know them. We want to have an experience with them. Is the whole idea, and that's part of the whole process. You sit down on a Bedouin tent in Egypt, and it's about having tea and connecting and getting to know someone before anything is transacted. If you're looking to buy, if they have something to sell, it's not just selling to you. It's getting to know who you are and what the thing is and how that thing will be used. And that's all kinds of interesting things. Curiosity will take you in so many places. I'd be the first one to tell you that. And gratitude is a part of that. It's wrapped in gratitude. That to me is the way it works.
Right.
Then you get
when you were speaking, Michael, and I don't know why I got a vision of. It's so interesting. I love the things that you share because they bring up memories and things that I haven't thought of in a long time. And when I first bought my house, I had a little plot of land. I'd never gardened before. And in my family, my dad, even though he was Italian, my mom was Norwegian, my dad was not adventurous. He didn't like garlic. He
Really?
didn't like onions. We didn't really have many peppers. I think we would maybe, if we were lucky, we had a green pepper. So when I knew that I could plant tomatoes, I went to the nursery, and I saw all of these different varieties of tomatoes and all these different varieties of peppers. I had no idea what they tasted like. And I just started to plant them. I didn't even know what I was doing really growing. I kind of figured things out. I tried all of these different lettuces, including a really spicy lettuce. I had all of these seeds. I didn't know what was going to come up. But I was so curious, and it was so much fun to sort of nourish things and then to be able to eat out of my garden. And it's evolved since then. But it was that initial, what do I want this to be? And I think it's a way that we can kind of sort of say yes to the universe. That curiosity brings things into reality. And as things, when I put these little tiny seedlings in, or even put my seeds in the ground and I water them, I didn't realize, I just, my nativity, I just thought, well, all of the seeds will come out. They didn't. Some did, some didn't. Some came out in an abundance, and I didn't realize you're supposed to thin them out. I'm like, no, you just came up. I can't pick you out of the ground. But there was a wisdom in it, and it was just about learning little things, and it was sort of saying that I wonder what's possible, and then the generous abundance that garden brought me well into the fall, and the foods that I brought inside and froze, and herbs and things that came back every year. And it's a beautiful reminder of it. So thank you for that memory. And it'll be spring soon enough. I'll be planting.
What a story. We all have those, and that's the beauty of it. Again, because you were curious, you're talking about it here now, years later. It's just it's life is so spectacular if you see it that way. And it doesn't matter where you are, what you're experiencing, you can be curious about anything. And I know that there are some places in the world where curiosity is frowned upon because there's a system in place that wants you to stay in this little box. You can still be curious within that little box. You don't have to really. You can be curious and ask questions. You can observe. There is the internet now that just about everybody has, as you mentioned earlier, that we didn't have 20, 30, 40 years ago. There's still ways to be curious within the confines of whatever box that you're being kept in. And it still offers opportunity for evolution. Personal transformation. It's still there. We have a tendency to take for granted that we big houses, big lots, big city, and all that we have all this to explore. And some people don't have that opportunity. And I'm saying that curiosity it's still something that you want to foster. It's still something you want to develop, because you may not always be in that situation, and it can help make that situation so much more tolerable, so much more amazing, so much more miraculous. And I just wanted to say that because it's I recognize that we here on PRN FM have all kinds of people from all kinds of places that listen, and that to me just needed to be said. It doesn't matter where you are. Curiosity. Maintain your curiosity, even if you keep it to yourself. Maintain your curiosity, because it's a gift to have, and be grateful that you have the ability to be curious. And as we all do, we have. To me, that's where the gratitude starts. And you're going to be grateful you had the experiences you had from being curious. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so true. And I think whenever you're feeling stress or you're feeling in lack, just take a moment and pause. Even if you say out loud, I wonder what's possible here. Don't say anything. Just allow whatever it is. Allow whatever's meant to unfold. Be in that moment. Be alive. Let that spark of I wonder what's possible be alive every second. And just say, I'm grateful for the prize. And imagine me reaching to the bottom of the box looking for that prize. Because I think there's always a prize, no matter what it is, that wherever we are, it's always waiting for us. And
two powerful words. That's two powerful words, by the way. I don't want to let that slide by. Very powerful words, I wonder. I wonder. Those are, wow. Didn't think about that till now. I wonder. There are words that you can say that spark everything. And you just mentioned those two words. I wonder. When whatever situation, whatever challenge you face, put I wonder in front of whatever you're thinking. I wonder. It's almost like what if, What if? What if I did this? What if I did that? What would be the outcome? Two other powerful words, the words associated with curiosity and with further experience, expanded experience of life. What if? I wonder. I love it. When you think of a couple others, as soon as I hang up, I'll think of a couple more. But, yeah. How can I, we can start talking in that way. And I believe language is incredibly important because language has the energy. Words have energy and frequency, and the way we talk about being curious, to me, is also very important. And I appreciate you saying that, because that is what I thought of, is how we can form our language, use language that actually sparks curiosity. Those are the words that I come up with. I wonder, what if, how can I, maybe, what would it be like if I did this, right? If I took this step in this direction, what would it be like? What kind of experience would I have? How would this change things for me? Yeah, lots of questions that we can ask that encompass curiosity and the active curiosity, that movement that gets us, that alchemy. Let's call curiosity alchemy. I like that. It's an element of curiosity, elephant of alchemy, because it really is. It's transformative. The word curiosity is transformative. The act of being curious is transformative, and can help us evolve beyond who we are today. And to me, that qualifies as an element of alchemy. What do you think?
Oh, so beautiful, Michael. I'm going to smile from ear to ear, and I'm so grateful to you, because I appreciate the insights on gratitude, and for you making the time, and for each one of our audience members here on Connect to Love for joining us in this space of remembering who you are and reconnecting with your heart and choosing love all the time. And remember that the universe does not always respond in the way that we expect, and it responds to openness, and that openness begins with that curiosity, and the gratitude reminds us that we're already held safe and loved. And I'm just so grateful, Michael. Thank you.
I am too. Can I say one thing? That
Please.
is that we have a huge worldwide audience here on PRNFM and on our downloads of our podcast. People who love hearing this unscripted conversation. And my curiosity has led me to wonder, what would it be like if you were listening to this podcast and it touched you in a way, in some way that was positive for you, and what would it be like to share that with somebody else? If this podcast has touched you in some way, made you feel a certain way, if something you've gotten from this podcast is in an element of alchemy for you that's helped you evolve and transform, what would happen if you shared that with somebody? And we encourage you to share the existence of this radio show and our existence of our podcast, that we take this show and make a recording that lasts infinitum, forever. But I encourage you to share this podcast if it's touched you in some way, because you never know what somebody else is thinking, and you never know how sparking their curiosity will help them evolve and transform as well. So thank you.
Thank you, too. Thank you. And until next time, stay in love, peace out, and stay connected. We're so grateful. Thank you.